Am I the a-hole for refusing to talk to my dad and brothers after the comment they made to me? Note, Ub claims to be living in the United Kingdom, but her use of Americanisms made many commentators suspect that she was trolling. However, in a comment, Use Your Excellent Plan suggested that OP was changing details to not dox herself. Her wording does suggest someone for whom English is not her first language, so this may explain her location, which also implies that her mother went to another country other than South Korea. AITA for refusing to talk to my dad and brothers after the comment they made to me. Hi, I created this account mostly to see icebergs, theories, and photos, but I never thought I'd be writing here. The people involved are me, 16, F, my dad, 59M, my two older brothers, 22, M, they're twins by the way, and my twin brother, 16M. As you can imagine, dealing with two sets of twins can be, well, stressful, and I understand my father in that. My mother is away working. She usually comes once a year or month, but I haven't seen her much since I turned 14. Sometimes she sends some stuff to me and my brothers. The relationship with my brothers is, well, complicated. I'm the only woman among all of them, so it was already difficult to connect with them. I only connect a little with my brother Andrew. Fake name, 22 years old, since we both like Greek mythology and stuff like that. But here the problem is with my twin brother and my father. You see, these last few days where I live, the weather seems to have a life of its own. Sometimes hot, sometimes cold, etc. So, today I woke up to unbearable heat. I had planned to go to one of those markets that sell everything to look for some stuffed animals from a series that I like. I dressed in a shirt, some sneakers, and decided to wear a skirt to have my legs freer. The skirt was short, almost 4 fingers above my knees, and that was the problem for my father. He immediately told me that the skirt was not appropriate and that I should change immediately. He knew I was coming out. I say this to clarify. I asked him what the problem was with this skirt, since it was literally a piece of clothing that my mother sent me from the country where she works. He didn't say anything to me. He just told me that either I changed into pants or I wouldn't go out. I couldn't even speak when my twin brother joined the conversation. My father told him everything, I guess looking for support. And my brother, like the idiot he is, looked me up and down and said, "You look like a slit in that skirt." I got angry about that, and out of rage, I took off a shoe and hit him with it, but it got worse because my dad agreed with him. "Yes," he said, "if your brother thinks like that, what do you think the others will think?" To top it all off, he called 2 older brothers, and they also supported him. I ended up locking myself in my room. I looked at the skirt, and I didn't see anything wrong with it. I looked at it for hours until I simply gave up on my plans to go out. That was practically 2 weeks ago. Since that day, I don't speak to them unless it's important. My mom texted me today asking, why do I give my dad and brothers the silent treatment? And that my dad feels bad about it. I didn't send a response, so I would appreciate it if you could give me some advice so I can answer my mom and explain all of this to her. I consulted with some friends, while some friends, both men and women, told me that my dad went too far by not defending me from my brother's comment. 2 friends told me that I was exaggerating because of my brother's comment and that, instead of complaining, I should take it as advice. So Reddit AITA selected comments. Unfortunately for me, my father and mother are only children. My mother lost contact with her family after she married my father, and in my father's case, he was in the foster care system until he was adopted by an older couple who didn't have any children. At one point, I was curious to ask a friend's mother her opinion, but then I felt it was weird. And I live in England. My family is not 100% religious, only my grandmother is. But she lives far away and is not even aware of the situation or the skirt. And I left her, OP's mother, a message asking to talk tonight by phone. My father will take my brothers to eat pizza at a restaurant they like so I could be able to talk to her. Deleted update. First of all, thanks to the people who left their comments and to the little person who sent me a private message. I don't know how it all went to shit, honestly. I'll summarize the call and everything that happened. My mother was furious. It turns out my father only told her the part where I questioned him about why I should change my clothes. I sent her the picture of the skirt, and I even put the outfit back on and sent her a picture of myself in it. It was there that my dad burst in. They had arrived earlier than I had calculated. He started yelling at me. I didn't understand almost anything. Everything happened so fast that I barely realized when my dad started tearing my clothes. All my clothes. Not only the winter one, but the one he saw as inappropriate, like strapless shirts, pajamas, skirts, shorts, and a few dresses. I cried to him to stop, but he didn't. I don't remember how much I cried, but the noise was enough for my brothers to come up. They just watched. They did nothing to stop my dad. I kept crying, begging him to stop, begging my brothers to do something. It was then that I heard Mom scream. She was still on call. I saw how all my dad's anger turned into shock and fear. Almost the same with my brothers. My mom told me to call a friend to stay with her because tomorrow she would take the first flight home. So here I am now on my best friend's couch, wearing one of his t-shirts and his pants since I don't have pajamas anymore. I don't know what's going to happen. I can barely process what's happening and how it happened so fast. My dad hasn't stopped calling me, nor have my brothers. I'm going to turn off my phone soon so I can sleep in peace. My best friend's mom already knows about the situation and told me that I can stay as long as I need, and that if I have any questions, I can tell her. My friend let me use her stuffed animal so I could feel accompanied since I left mine at home. Tomorrow my mom will probably come for me. I don't know what will happen, and I just pray that everything goes well. Update. Good afternoon, day or night. I'm calmer now so I can give you an update. Also, I'm going to eat in a few moments, so I thought I'd leave this here. Before I start, thank you all for leaving your comments, and to the 2 people who spoke to me privately, it means a lot to me. I'm going to summarize the call with my mom. She was furious and asked me for photos of the clothes I wore and also asked for a photo of me wearing them. And well, for the few who managed to read my previous post before I deleted it, I stayed at my friend's house after my dad put on a show and tore all my clothes. I was lucky my phone didn't hang up when my dad walked in like crazy, because my mom heard the whole thing and recorded it. So, coming to the present, my mom called my friend's mom, asking her to take me to see my dad at a cafe for breakfast. I'll be honest, it scared me. After remembering what happened the night before and my father's previous behavior, I felt like I didn't recognize him. Something I forgot to mention is that he rarely acts like this. I have seen him angry with other people, but never with my brothers or me. We went to a little cafe where my mother used to frequent before leaving, and there I found my father. It seemed like he had cried for hours, as if he hadn't slept. We talked for a while, and he apologized, not only for the batch thing, but also for not stopping my brothers, and also for ripping my clothes. I asked him for an explanation, since he hadn't even given me one when about the skirt. He looked down and said he thought that if his words and those of my brothers affected me, then I was going to change my clothes. WTF? Yes, that was my reaction, not in words, but in feelings. I told him that it did affect me, but not just the clothes, but the fact that I allowed my brothers to call me a bitch behind my back and make fun of it. He started to cry. I'll be honest, I didn't understand why. I read a lot here about crocodile tears and emotional manipulation. He said he was sorry, that he never wanted me to get to this point, that he didn't know how to handle the fact that I was growing up, and that he didn't want to lose me. The conversation led to nothing, and I'm still at my friend's house. In the case of my brothers, none of them have spoken to me. My mom left me a message before she left for work, telling me that she had already spoken to my brothers and my dad. The good news to liven this up is that my friend got me another plush toy for my collection, one of Shadow the Hedgehog. For now, everything has stayed like this. Me at my friend's house and my dad with my brothers. I feel like there's something else my dad didn't tell me. I mean, like I mentioned, he never acted like that before. Or maybe I didn't see it, but to be honest, I feel like there's something my dad isn't telling me, and so do my brothers. Thank you very much for the support, my Shadow plushie, and I say goodbye. Selected comments. I'm still staying with my friend and her mother. As I mentioned, I don't know what exactly my mother told my father and my brothers regarding clothing. For now, I'm using the few clothes I managed to save and a few items from my friend's sister. Thank you very much for your concern and for commenting. And unfortunately, no. I answered in my previous post, the original, that my mom distanced herself from her family and my dad was adopted by an older couple when he was a teenager. I only have a heart grandmother. She is not my blood, who took care of me when my parents went out. Currently, she moved to another city, and I don't know what happened to her. I only know that my mom has contact with her sometimes. In the case of clothes, my mom says that as compensation when she comes, we will go shopping together. Even so, I will miss my clothes, since I had bought many of those items at fairs, and I doubt I will find them now. And asked if she could live with her mother. For now, it is not possible. She lives with 2 other women where she works. She said she would bring forward her visit to talk about this face-to-face with my dad and brothers. And my mom is a lawyer and is currently in a divorce case due to domestic violence. She traveled to South Korea to represent the plaintiff since she is an old friend of hers. Since the time difference is 8 hours, I always have to calculate what time she is free and what day I can call her. A lawyer challenged OP about her mother being a lawyer. Lawyer here. This is a very unusual thing you're describing. An international lawyer, if that's what she is, would be unlikely to take a domestic violence case in South Korea and then do something else in another state or country. That's what my mom mostly tells us. Other times she tells us about cases where she works or where she helps, etc. The case itself is not about work. It's about a friend of hers who asked for help, something I mentioned when responding to a comment. And with the thing about my mom leaving me hanging, well, sometimes I just prefer to believe that she's busy. She always makes up for it when she comes to visit and takes me somewhere. And my dad mostly took care of me and my siblings when we were kids. While my mom sent money, he cooked, cleaned, shopped, managed the money, etc. In the case of the update I deleted, I did it when it was almost midnight. I was tired and could barely process what happened. But in short, when I was sending the picture of the clothes to my mom, as I mentioned, my dad came in screaming like a madman. As I mentioned, I still don't fully understand his actions since not even he gave me a valid explanation. Although my friend suggested that maybe my dad thought I was sending inappropriate pictures to someone. Update 2, good night, afternoon, or morning to everyone. For those of you in my time zone, you might be wondering, what am I doing writing so late? Well, as I usually say, things happened, so I prefer to keep you informed in addition to answering questions. But first of all, I really appreciate the help and advice given in my previous post. This teenager says it sincerely from the bottom of her heart. Answering frequently asked questions? No, living with my mom isn't possible for 2 reasons. First, my mom is away too much. She doesn't have a home office. That wouldn't be a problem for me since I know how to cook, do my own laundry, and clean up after myself. The other thing is that my mom lives with 2 other women where she's staying this time. One is an older woman and the other is divorced. Both rented the room with the no children rule, so no, it's not possible. No, I never saw my dad act this way in front of me. As I mentioned in the comments and in my previous update, he never behaved this way with me. He is usually very affectionate and understanding. So as I mentioned, I don't know what the reason for that outburst of anger was. And no, my parents are not divorced. The reason my mom is always away is because of work. She got pregnant with my older brothers, Andrew, Andy, and Elijah, when they were 21. My dad stayed behind to take care of both of them until my mom got a good job. Then they had my twin and me. She is still far away, and the money she sends is usually enough and even left over for everyday things, school, extra activities, etc. Now, with the update, 2 days ago, my brother Andy, 22M, wrote me a message asking if we could talk. The truth is, I got a little nervous. I asked him if we could talk on the phone, and he said yes. As a comment recommended, I recorded the conversation with my brother in case something happened, in addition to having my best friend's sister as moral support. The conversation was trivial at first. Andy asked me if I ate well, slept well, the usual stuff, until we got to the topic at hand. He apologized, saying he was an idiot and should have measured what he said. I asked him why he did that, why he used those words. At first, he gave me the same explanation as my dad. That is, it was to persuade me to change my clothes. I told him to tell me the truth, that I needed a rational and sincere explanation. I heard him sigh and he said, "You wouldn't understand." I asked him what exactly I didn't understand, but he was stubborn in not telling me. I asked him if Mom told him anything. He said that Mom scolded him and my brothers for treating me like that and that we would talk about it when she got back. He also asked me when I would be coming home. I told him that I would stay at my friend's house until Mom came, and that's where we started to argue. He told me that it was stupid to hide at my friend's house, that it was cowardly and childish to run away just because of a comment. I replied that after Dad tore my clothes, no matter how much I cried, he no longer made me feel safe. Less because neither he nor our other 2 brothers, his twin and my twin, defended me or comforted me. They just watched and turned a blind eye until Mom had to intervene. Upon mentioning Mom, he started by telling me that I shouldn't have brought Mom up since she was already stressed enough with her job to listen to my tantrums, and that we could have worked it out at home. I told him this wasn't a tantrum. They literally ganged up on each other, calling me a slit and making derogatory comments about my outfit. Then let Dad rip my clothes. I asked him if he even bothered to think about if this would affect me, and he stayed silent. Then he ended the call telling me not to do stupid things at my friend's house and hung up. I cried. I know, probably pathetically, I really would like to say that I didn't feel anything and that I didn't care what he said, but regardless, this is my brother I'm talking about. Then before dinner, Aja, 22M, Andy's twin, called me. I thought about not answering, considering my argument with Andy, but decided to. He didn't use any platitudes and told me straight up that I got him, my other two brothers, and dad in huge trouble by going to cry on mom and then running away into my best friend's lap. I told him what he expected. I didn't get any answers from any of them about what happened. None of them helped me when dad was ripping my clothes and I was begging him to stop. I told him I didn't run away into anyone's lap and that I didn't cry to mom. I just told mom what happened and that I'm staying somewhere safe. I just heard him groan and he told me to not do anything stupid. Before I could ask him what he meant, he hung up. I suspected that my twin brother, Toby, 16M, would also call later, but he just texted me saying, "I hope you're happy now." I was confused most of the night. I tried to call my mom, but she left me a message saying, "I'm about to finish the case. Just give me 3 more days and I'll be there. I love you." Let's move on to the accident on Saturday. When my brothers spoke to me, it was on Friday. I went out with my best friend for a walk. We were planning to go to a McDonald's with his sister and his cousin. His sister is 19, and his cousin is 10F. She is quite quiet, and I really adore this little one. It was early, almost 3 in the afternoon. Lunch hadn't filled us up, so my friend's mom and my friend's cousin's mom gave us permission. We sat at a table, and I was the one assigned to order the food. Everything was normal until I saw my 2 older brothers enter the restaurant. My heart froze. I looked back at the counter, praying that the line would get longer so they wouldn't see me. To my misfortune, they did. Almost immediately, the first thing they did was ask me, what the hell was I doing here alone? I told them I wasn't, that my friend's family was here. I wanted to pretend I didn't know them, to ignore them, but that wasn't possible. Andy asked me whose shirt it was, and I told him it was my friend's. I don't know why, but that made them mad. Elijah told me that they warned me not to do anything stupid and told me they would take me home. I stepped aside when he tried to grab me, and I told him what stupid thing he was talking about. I'm writing here that if any of you are standing, you'd better sit down, because what my brother told me made me feel so nauseous that I wanted to jump out of a window. He told me that wearing my friend's shirt was a sign that I slept with him. Yes, you are not hallucinating, and it is not your glasses, if any of you wear glasses. Those were my brother's words. I asked him why the hell he thought that. And he said that when a girl wears a boy's shirt, it is because he has marked his territory. That's when I really lost it. I told my brother he was a creep for even suggesting that my friend let me borrow that shirt because I'd run out of the few shirts I'd managed to save and was now washing them, that both my friend and I were still teenagers, and the fact that they made that assumption was just disgusting. Apparently that only made them believe their suspicions more, and they yelled back at me. Andy said not to lie, to tell the truth, and that if I did, they wouldn't tell Dad. I yelled back, telling him that it was disgusting, that I wouldn't confess to something I didn't do, and to leave me alone. Elijah then told me to stop being so stubborn and spoiled. Then he added something that hurt me. He said he didn't understand why I was so offended by the slut thing if I was behaving like one. That's where the comment he made, that I ran into someone else's lap, made sense. I felt nauseous, disgusted, and in pain. It made me think that if that was how my older brothers saw me, I was about to answer, but then a scream fell on both of us. It was my friend's little cousin. She started screaming that these 2 bad men, referring to my brothers, were yelling bad things at me. That caught the attention of 2 mothers who appeared, as well as my best friend and his sister. The rest was a blur to me. For what I know, my brothers were told to leave the place. They tried to take me with them, but my friend and his sister didn't let them. We ended up buying takeout, and my friend called his mom to pick us up. I don't know at what point I started crying, but my friend's little cousin noticed and gave me one of her fries to make me stop crying. It turns out that she and my friend's sister were looking at what toys were available in the Happy Meal. It was then that the little one separated from my friend's sister to let me know what toy she wanted when she saw my brothers yelling at me. My friend then asked me what happened, and I told him and his mom everything. Needless to say, my friend's mom was furious. After dinner, I spoke to my mom. I wrote to her and told her everything. She replied, "Just a few more days, honey. I'll be there right away." I don't know if it was the pent-up frustration or what happened at the restaurant, but I exploded. I sent her a voice message saying that I needed her now, not in a few days, that I didn't understand what the hell was going on since it seemed like neither she nor my dad, much less my brothers, were being honest with me, that my brothers had said horrible things to me, that my dad was acting like a stranger and that she only said we would talk about it when she got back. I told her that I was her daughter, that I admired her for what she did at work and what she did for her friend, but right now, I needed her. I needed my mom. I ended the voice message by telling her I wanted to stay at my friend's house even if she came, since after today and her attitude, I didn't feel safe with anyone. Not with her or my dad, less with my brothers. I cried all night in silence, out of anger over this whole situation, but also out of guilt, because I know my mom is working her ass off every day to provide us with a good lifestyle and not make us go without, and I exploded at her. I'm sorry my update is so long and without any good news. I'd like to say that I feel better now, but honestly, I feel like everything around me is upside down. From what I know, my brothers have told everyone they know that they saw me wearing my best friend's shirt, which to them means that he marked me, or whatever that means in their fucking minds. My dad didn't say anything, and my mom didn't say anything about my audio. For now, I'm more calm. My friend's mom lets me join her in her hobbies of pottery and embroidery, and she also gave me some old paper doll cutouts to design clothes and keep me busy. I could never be more grateful to this woman and her entire family, as well as to all of you, Reddit. Also, if you have any advice on what to give a 10-year-old girl, I would really appreciate it. Her birthday is in 2 months, and I want to give her a gift for helping me out there. For now, I say goodbye. I hope you have a good night, morning, or afternoon, and I will update you if anything happens. Selected comments, Usai branch. Your mom is a POS too. You're being abused, sexually assaulted by your own family, and instead of hightailing it home, she's still finishing her work. And who cares about a no-child rule? Then she needs to get new accommodations so you can stay with her. We are originally from England. My mom has records of living here. In my dad's case, I know his adoptive parents are from here, and that he spent most of his life in foster care. So there aren't many ethnic or religious issues. Our parents never forced religion on us. Regarding the culture, I feel like I should do more research. With my mom, well, I feel like it's a habit and a lost cause. I still feel bad about the voice message I sent her because I know she does what she can, but at the same time, it fills me with frustration that she's not here. I sincerely thought that I had already been able to overcome the feeling of absence, but it seems that I haven't, and asked if her father knows about what happened at McD. My dad knows about the confrontation. From the little I know through a mutual friend I have with my twin, I know that both he and my dad are aware of what happened, but neither said anything. As for him asking for help or going to the police, I'm gathering the evidence I can. I know that nothing will happen without evidence. So first, I want to have a solid foundation. And again, challenged about living in the UK. Here I should clarify, yes, I am from England, but since quarantine, I have been using the occasional American word. I became interested in American English, and I also have a friend from the US who tends to use these types of words. Sometimes we jokingly fight over him making fun of my accent. I can't say what part of England I am from for privacy reasons, but I can confirm that I am from here. Final update. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are. I bring you what I hope is the latest update on what happened. I appreciate the concern, comments, and suggestions for my friend's cousin's gift. I'm going to try to summarize a little bit of everything that happened. First of all, my mother didn't come back. We both talked, and I ended up discovering things that, although they felt heavy, explained the situation to me better. The first thing, which I mentioned in a comment, is that the reason my mom was gone so much was because she needed her space. I asked her what she meant by that, and she told me that they were only expecting one baby, my twin. When they did the first ultrasound to see him, I wasn't that visible, my mom's words. It wasn't until the second ultrasound that they finally noticed me. So, for those who theorize that I was the daughter of a lover, I am an unexpected surprise. My mom said that neither she nor my dad were ready for a girl. When my twin and I were born, Mom was anxious since having a girl. She would now have to stay at home more to guide me. My dad assured her that he would understand me and that my mom would not worry. I think she took that literally. I asked her why she was telling me this until now, and it turns out that the divorced woman my mother currently lives with, in a comment I said she lives with 2 women, listened to my audio when my mother played it, sat my mother down and told her that I needed her, that if she didn't do something now, she would lose me like the divorced woman, lost her children. She apologized for prioritizing herself as a woman more than me. She said she thought I was safe and calm at home, but after this, she understands that she was wrong to be out of my life and that of my brothers. We talked a little more, mostly about what I wanted. and if I was sure I wanted to stay at my friend's house. I said yes, and then she talked to my friend's mom, so they agreed that I would stay with my friend's mom. The talk with my dad and my brothers. Well, it was by video call with my mom, too. To be honest, I had already resigned myself to never having an explanation for all of this. The call can only be summarized in what happened in the restaurant. A scolding from my brothers and the news that I will be staying with my friend. My dad tried to object, but my mom silenced him. So now I officially live with my friend, her sister, and her mom. The rules in the house are manageable, and I feel comfortable here. My friend and I call each other neighbors, and we agree to have movie marathons on Sundays. I chose a My Hero Academia anime movie, and my friend will watch E.T. with me next week. As for clothes, my mom sends money. I'll go with my friend's sister next week. She saw my style the times I went out with my friend, so she's taking me to a few stores to recover some of my old wardrobe. I had one last talk with my dad on my friend's porch, with his mom watching. He apologized for disappointing me, for not protecting me, and cried again. Many will probably judge me here, but I accepted his goodbye hug. It hurts that things ended like this. He said he would find a way to earn my trust again, and that he didn't want to lose me. As for my brothers, I only received an apology from Andy, while my twin sent me a photo of my room still intact with the phrase, "It will be the same when you return." So here I am now, at my friend's house, in my new room with a few paper dolls that I made clothes for. I still keep the same calling schedule with my mom, while my dad will text me on weekends to check on me. That was my parents' arrangement. For my expenses, my friend's mother will be the one who receives a sum of money for anything. Food, hygiene products, medicines, etc. I really appreciate the comments and support. I'll leave it there. If something serious happens, I'll update you. But for now, I think this will end here. A big hug to everyone who commented and have a nice morning, afternoon, night. Bye. Final update to hi, good morning, night to everyone. I think this is really the end. First of all, thank you for your support. And second, I will focus on the most important topics. My brother, Elijah, got into a problem. In short, he was acting inappropriately and violently toward a female friend of his, 20. From what I know, it seems my brother was at this friend's apartment along with 2 others. My brother tried to flirt with her, but her friend rejected his advances. He started yelling at her that she got his hopes up and that she was a bitch like all the others. I'm starting to think the men in my family are fixated on that word. A friend, let's call him X, tried to calm things down, while Y, the other friend, called my brother's friend a prude. The shouting got louder and my brother yelled all sorts of obscenities at the girl. At one point, he tried to force a kiss on her, but friend X punched my brother, starting a fight. The neighbors heard and called the police, and the girl is now filing a complaint. My brother Toby, my twin, moved in with his friend. This took me by surprise, honestly. I found out when we talked on the phone, and was for him when I found out about Elijah. Apparently, the tension at home had become unbearable. And Toby had been staying with a friend of his. Toby apologized for his actions and his participation. He said that he went with the flow of what happened, and that it was his group of friends who made him see what was wrong. I asked him if he knew anything about that thing, which brings me to the third point. Possible answer? Toby told me that Dad and my older brother's actions were to keep an eye on me, since they were apparently afraid I'd go off track. This confused me. I asked Toby if there were any signs that I had stepped out of that line. Please, here's the small space where I ask that you read the following carefully. It turns out this was brewing when Toby and I were 13, right in the school year. There was a mother of a classmate, let's call her Z, who couldn't stop worrying about my female classmates. Apparently, at a parent-teacher conference, Z's mother couldn't stop pointing out how affectionate the girls in my class were with the boys. She pointed out hugs as inappropriate, gifts as signs of wanting something more and getting it through small gestures, and what really infuriated me, that if a girl and a boy from the same class arrived together and were late, it meant that something happened. Yep, you read it. I know Z. She's the kind of classmate who screams loudly if you're eating in class or if you've said something rude. In the eyes of teachers and parents, she was a saint, but behind closed doors, she was the very embodiment of her mother's concerns. These concerns reached my dad, who, according to Toby, initially ignored them, but then started asking him, that is, Toby, to keep an eye on me. Here I should give a little context. In the school, there were 2 classrooms. Classroom 1 was for those with an average of A+, A, and A. That is the grading system used in my school. While Classroom 2 was for students with an average of B and below. In both classrooms, the same thing is taught, but those in Classroom 1 have more practice than theory. While in Classroom 2, there is more theory than practice. Toby and I were in classroom 2, but at 13, I moved to classroom 1 when my grades improved. There I met my best friend, with whom I now live and who became my neighbor. According to Toby, and for which he later apologized, when I went to classroom 1, he was just telling my dad that I was always with my best friend. Was I eating my lunch? I was with him art club. He was there with me. This is because we rarely met in both classrooms. So whenever we crossed paths, Toby saw me with my friend. I'm going to give my friend a name. He likes Deltarune, so now I'll call him Chris. And instead of my dad talking to me, he just asked Toby for more details and tried to find more. Apparently, my other 2 brothers also knew about the concerns, and this is my theory. If we base it on the fact that Elijah had a friend like Y, I think Andy also got the idea that I was very close to Chris. I asked Toby if they'd ever thought of talking to me about all this, but he said that, according to Dad, if I knew they were watching me, I'd be more secretive. We talked awkwardly for a while longer. It was a 3-hour call, according to my phone logs. I think the longest we'd ever talked. I said goodbye, wishing him the best. He said goodbye, telling me that he hopes things get better, which I doubt. Now, point 4. My mom came. She arrived at my friend's house. She asked me if I already went to buy the clothes with the money she sent. I answered only a part, and she offered to go with me for the last part. It was in the shoe section that we both talked. She apologized again. I asked if she knew anything about what Toby told me, and she said yes, but that she didn't think it would go that far. The conversation was weird, frustrating, and somewhat painful. We both hugged near the end. It brought back bad memories of my little self clinging to my mom so she wouldn't leave. In that conversation, we brought up the subject of Elijah and Andy. She will not support Elijah for what he did. In Andy's case, it seems they both talked. He left me a letter that he wrote. In my dad's case, well, that brings me to my final point. 5. My dad is hospitalized. Apparently, he and Elijah had a fight after the problem with the girl. Chronologically, the accident with the girl happened at the beginning of this month. Toby was right to leave since, apparently, the fights between my dad and Elijah got worse. Elijah didn't take what he did seriously. He went out more with his friend Y and came back late smelling of alcohol and cigarettes. Apparently, in a fight, Elijah used the fact that both Toby and I left as a weapon, saying something like, "The fact that your 2 youngest children prefer their friends' houses than being here shows that you screwed up," and left in a huff. Apparently, this affected him more, and Andy found him unconscious. Andy was the one who took him to the hospital, and he hasn't moved from there since then. According to Andy, Dad has something related to stress. I went to see him twice. We talked, and I asked him about everything. He confirmed only part of the story that Toby told me. I kept the conversation calm since I didn't want to make his condition worse. I said goodbye with a hug, which he hugged me back. We stayed like that for a while until I left. The second and last time I visited him was 2 days ago. He told me that he planned to seek help. He told me that he and Mom would go to couples therapy first and then individual therapy to handle some problems. To close, Andy's letter was the last thing I read. He didn't speak to me at the hospital. It was only a few paragraphs, but in short, he also apologized. His version was that he and Dad didn't know how to handle things and everything got out of control. There were small fragments that made me somewhat validate Toby's version. He closed the letter with a, "Take care." That's a summary. I plan to talk to a psychologist first. I don't want to burden my friend's mom with things like this. For now, I'm fine. Movie nights continue, and my problems aren't as bad. If Elijah's situation worsens, I might update. But for now, I bow and say goodbye to all of you who gave support that this silly teenager needed. Selected comments about her mother's trips. In my previous updates, I explained that my mom started traveling more after I turned 12. In what was supposed to be the final one, I learned that only a few of my mom's trips were for work. Others were just to be more free. In the case of my older brothers, Andy and Elijah, I know they had my mom when they were young and up until they were 10. Since when they were born, her trips weren't that frequent. She would be out for 3 or 4 weeks. But after my brother Toby and I were 12, she started to travel more. I know this is all confusing, but I'm trying to sum it all up. Sorry for any typo. And Icy Wheel asked about OP's mother. So what is her plan now? As I mentioned in this post, it seems my mom and dad will be in therapy. I don't know how things will continue. On our outing to the mall, she told me that she planned to stay at least until October or December.